So far, we have successfully created a site using the API in our account, but we don't have any clients yet to assign the site to. In this lesson, we will look at how to create a client account using the API. But first, let's take a look at how to create an account using the UI. From the top bar in your dashboard, hover over Clients and Team and click Client Management. From here, click on Create Client. Once this form appears, fill it out with any necessary details, such as the client's first and last name and their email address. Then, click Save and Continue. Congrats! You've successfully created a client account, but right now, that account doesn't have any sites assigned or permissions set up. In this lesson, we'll walk through the API call that automates client account creation, the same process we just explored in the interface. But to give you the full picture, I'll walk you through the rest of the flow, where we'll assign a site to the client account and set permissions, but I want to highlight that this next step requires a separate API call, which we'll cover in the next video. Once a client account has been created, the next step is to assign it a site and set their permissions. From the drop-down, let's assign the site we manually created. Once the site has been assigned, you'll be prompted to choose the appropriate permissions for them. The permissions you assign to a customer can vary based on their comfort level with technology and the level of support or services you want to provide. Additionally, clients are granted access to each site individually. So if a client has multiple sites, you can customize their permissions for each one separately. For this client, we'll keep it simple and give them permissions to leave site comments, update existing widgets, and even use the AI assistant to help them generate content. Click Save when you're ready and head back over to the site list. Once you're there, click the site's Site Dashboard button to be directed to your central hub for viewing and managing a specific site. Once inside the site dashboard, look for the Clients tab to access the Clients card, where you can view any and all clients and their assigned permissions. By clicking on the three dots, you'll see a list of actions, including an option to view the account as the client would see it. This is the client's account, and what the site overview looks like will depend on the number of sites in their account and the permissions they've been granted. Let's jump into the editor to see what it looks like for the client. As you'll notice, their editor will appear as a simplified version of what you might be used to, based on the permissions we assigned to the client. If you recall from earlier, we only gave this client the ability to add site comments, update and edit existing widgets, and use the AI assistant to generate content for existing text widgets. Now that we have a basic understanding of how to create a client account in Duda, let's take a look at the API docs to learn how to automate this step. Up on the screen, we have the account object, which represents the data that makes up an account. A couple of things I want to point out here. First, the account name is typically an email address, but it doesn't have to be. If your system uses a unique ID to manage client accounts, you can use that same ID to create a Duda account for your client. Additionally, the account name is strictly for system use and won't be visible in the interface. Second, this API call can be used to create both staff and client accounts. You'll want to be careful here and make sure that you're sending over the right value. For all client accounts, make sure to enter Customer as the account type. Let's now take a look at the API call we need to make to create an account. Since we're including data in the request body, this is a POST request. Let's scroll down to the body parameters section and fill out some fields to send a sample request in Postman. For this example, I'll create a new client and use an email address as the account name. But remember, this can be any other ID you use in your system to manage client accounts. The account type has been already set to Customer, so we can leave it as is. Let's copy the endpoint and our sample payload and head on over to Postman. Once in Postman, click the three dots next to the collection to add a new request. At this point, we should already be in the habit of giving each request a unique name. From the drop-down, let's select Post and paste in the endpoint. Click the Body tab and set the body request type to raw. Then, paste in the payload we copied over from the developer docs. Before we hit send to make our request, let's head back over to Duda to look at our existing client list. Right now, we only have the one customer we manually created at the beginning of this lesson. If the request runs successfully, after hitting send in Postman, we should see a second client added to the list. Let's head back over to Postman to send in our request. When you're ready, click send. A 204 status code indicates that the call was made successfully, but there is no content to return in the response body. To verify, let's head back over to our client list and refresh the page. And there they are. We've successfully created a new client using the API. And as you can see, unlike our first client, this one doesn't have a site or any permissions assigned yet. In the next lesson, we'll go over the API call that assigns sites and permissions to client accounts, giving them access and control over their designated sites.